minutes of the April 10 meeting. Okay, I have, we can discuss, there are two things I'd like to see if we can change. In the other business, I did have a written resignation from Paul Brown. I didn't, it's in my last one.
Oh, you did get it written?
I do have a written resignation from that.
Okay.
And it was not a joint meeting of the planning board and the zoning town of Ashford board. We attended the town board meeting. It wasn't a town board meeting. We attended the planning board meetings on Wednesday. On the 16th of April, yes. It was not a town board meeting. It was just a planning board meeting that the town board attended. Further discussion?
We will make those.
Okay, if not, all those in favor of the minutes as amended?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, Supervisor's monthly report. For the month of April, we had revenues of $6,901.50. Appropriations were $51,418.14. The general fund checkbook balance is $93,514.23. Highway checkbook balance is $436,351.81. T&A account, $11,587.97. Payroll account, $16,531.55. Water district number 1, $3,155.86. And you have my accounting sheets before you. Too much impact, but just as a in passing, which doesn't show on this month's, but we did get the second quarter sales tax check, and it is down about 3.5%. I'm sorry, 7%, $3,500, but basically a 7% decrease from a year ago. But we're fine because we only budgeted 75% of what we got in 2011, so we're well within that. Okay. Is there anyone who'd like to address the board on any issue other than natural gas? If not, there are a few people that have requested time. Ron Charles.
It's been directly natural gas, but related. I wanted to discuss the town zoning map. And all that you're doing, I thought we'd get time to address this along with your zoning board amendment noise ordinance. Each give you a packet here for information. I just like to make a comment. I'm pleased to see that you guys are working with the board with your joint meeting there. While we're trying to get some information around Lake Gary with the residential recreational district, we weren't able to get any definite and there's no one could tell us for certain who was in the residential districts or out of the residential districts. Your zoning ordinance refers to the town map dated February 20th, 1987, which is this one, was revised September 8th, 1993. In your packet, I copied the two areas out of the zoning ordinance directly where it specifies a zoning map. And then section 6 discusses the interpretation of the district boundaries. And it says that the district boundary lines are intended generally to follow the center lines of the streets or roads, center lines of railroad right-of-ways, existing lot lines, the center lines of rivers, streams, other waterways, and town boundary lines. Where a district boundary line does not follow such a line, its position shall be shown on the zoning map by a specific dimension expressing its distance in feet from a road line or other boundary line as indicated. Now, as you can see, the town zoning map just has areas roughly defined. There's no dimensions on there, there's no property boundaries. And also, the information I've given you, I took the zoning map and highlighted, outlined and highlighted the areas on the zoning map. And then I overlaid those onto the tax maps. And you'll be able to see that what I'm talking about, it's not really clear where these district boundaries are. And I thought, I'd like to request that, you know, the map get updated along with all the work that you're doing.
Okay, that's, I mean, I will respond to you right here on the spot, because Shenango County Planning has the ability to overlay our zoning map on the tax map. And obviously on this, you know, the tax parcels on a map this size for the whole town of Oxford, 4,000 parcels, it's very difficult. They can blow it up to the full-size map, but, you know, it is done up there, and if you have a question about any particular parcel, the planning department can delineate just exactly which one it is. And we're gonna, my intent is to replace the map on the zoning map in the town office with an overlay of that size to try to, you know, it won't be perfect, but certainly will clear up a lot of those issues. So, you know, I think that it's something that needs, yeah, I mean, it's something about, but I would hope we could have it, you know,
Bigger.
you know, 3x4 or something like that, so you'd be able to see, because, you know, you get down to, especially, you know, you get into the Lake Erie issue, where there's these 50 by 100 or 100 by 100 lots, you know, even on this scale, you're not gonna be able to see where they are.
Well, you can see, I mean, I guess mine.
Yours is bigger than this, but it's just,
Yeah, it mimics that. You
Right.
see how it's split on that parcel, you can't, not sure which property line that's supposed to
But these,
follow.
I don't even think these are all,
And this is the state land, you can't really tell. I mean, it didn't go straight up, it went back into the state
Right.
land here.
Well-
Same with your residential areas, you're on both sides of the road, but you don't have
Well,
a definition
there's-
of where the district is.
well, some places are, on the residential's, like, I know though on State Street, it's a 300-foot either side of the road. And
Okay.
same with the commercial going up Route 12, there was a dimension mentioned in there someplace.
Okay.
Yeah.
I talked with Del Cook and, you know, so, and I know Carol Burgle had gone to the county, and we weren't able to get a clear definition.
But at the, you know, as I say, at the planning department at the county, they do have that ability to copy that out, and my intent is to get a big scale of that.
Sure, thank you.
Okay? Ron, do you want this copy of the map, this map back?
If you don't want it, sure.
Well,
You probably
we've
already have
got,
one, but-
you know, I don't know if you
Okay,
wanna take them away from me.
thank you.
Okay, Paul, plans?
Okay, I don't know if I'm on the wrong track here, but I got a lot of questions. I'm not really concerned with the gas drilling as I am with the laws and the lawmaking and how we're prepared for the future. And it brings to mind, Jerry, 2 meetings ago, we talked about the 239 that got forgotten. You mentioned that the 5 vote, as if that rectified the situation, the majority, supermajority vote. Have you checked into that to find out?
No.
No. Okay, well, you probably ought to check into it, because I think the 239M is a law. You have to do it regardless of the vote. You can have a 100-to-1 vote or a 100-to-0 vote, and it doesn't count. It only counts once the review has been filed. And there's multiple steps. You know this. I shouldn't have to be telling you this, because you've done it on multiple subdivisions that I've checked in the planning board minutes. But 30 days before you file it, along with an EAF, which is mandatory, so there's 2 documents. And then 15 days after the vote is taken, there's a final action notice. None of these things, I can't find them. I don't know where they went. It's not like you forgot one thing, it's just like there's 3 things. What happened to them? I don't understand that. Also, do you follow where I'm going with that? Do you know what the final action is I'm talking about after a vote is taken?
For a law or for a subdivision?
For a law. I'm basically concerned with the gas drilling laws, the zoning laws, not the
Zoning
subdivisions.
laws. Yeah, well, they're laws, they're not a subdivision.
But I think they all go through the same process. They all have to go through the 239 review. And there's a fine, regardless of what the vote is, regardless of what happens, you have to file a final action notice with the county. And it's also mandated by the county that you must file an EAF, even if you want to do the non-declaratory deal, right? What I'm concerned about is I've looked, Lawrence knows I've done a lot of FOIL requests, and I just can't find things, and if I do find them, they're showing me a trend. And I would like to have it put to rest, but no one seems to want to explain it or respond to me, so I don't know where we're going with this. Let me read you what I've got. First of all, I'll give you these. One for the minutes. Okay. My concern is not with gas drilling, but with the laws we have in place to deal with it and the leadership we rely on to enforce them. Through my FOIL requests, I have uncovered many alarming issues. For the last 6 years, town residents were under the assumption that we had zoning regulations on the books to handle the oil and gas industry. I personally recall Lawrence stepping forward at a meeting over at the village library and assuring the audience of the fact that there was no need for a moratorium in our town. We have laws on the books. In my research of the laws, I found many troubling facts. I became suspicious after being denied certain information for nearly 6 months. What was the reason for this avoidance in violation of state law? In other words, you're supposed to answer those FOIL requests, which the Department of State will tell you. Requests for 239M referral info, seeker documents, zoning board of appeals issued permits, county final notification records were being denied. What is the town hiding? Now it has been exposed that these things were never done and were done illegally. Now we found out that our laws are bogus. Thank God the state enacted a moratorium when it did, or we would have gas wells everywhere. Does the board really believe that if North Energy found reason to challenge our town laws, that we would have had a fighting chance with illegally enacted zoning regulations? We've been sitting ducks all this time. It's very hard to swallow that some board members who have been around since 2007 were not aware of our position. Making mistakes is incompetence. Hiding them borders on criminal. Now I find that the Roman gas well was drilled in violation of Oxford law, and it appears it has been hushed up. The town, with Lawrence at the wheel, had over 8 months and documented notifications pertaining to this well drilling, and they didn't lift a finger. This certainly doesn't give me a lot of confidence about our leadership and the future of Oxford. 3 of our current board members were seated on boards when this went down, so they must know the particulars of the situation. I'd like some answers. This was the first gas well in Oxford in over 34 years. It was never discussed at any town meeting from July of 2007, or none of the notifications that were sent and delivered to the town were entered as communications into the meeting minutes. When the new laws became, from July of 2007 all the way to when the new laws, I'm sorry, let me start that over again. It was never discussed at any town meeting from July 2007, when the new laws became active, until nearly a month after the well was completed. That's almost a year. Absolutely nothing. Lawrence decided to appoint Paul Ramon to the planning board before the well was started. By state law, this would have put him in a position of conflict of interest, requiring that he file a disclosure statement. Of course, none of this happened because the town let the gas well slip under the radar. And what about the secret documents that should have been produced by the town, since they apparently planned on filing these requirements on an individual permit application process? Why would anyone not suspect these actions or lack of the same? It's hard to comprehend how a man with your experience, Lawrence, let these things get by you. I would hope that being made aware of these happenings would make you realize that we need to make some changes. I would appreciate explanations backed up with documents for these follow-ups. I was told twice when I first made inquiries for records that I was told twice when I first made inquiries for records that Roman's well was drilled before our new laws were passed, and that no records existed. I soon found out that this was incorrect and misleading. Obviously, my request for information regarding the Zoning Board of Appeals public hearings that should have taken place have been denied or not responded to at all because they never happened. If that's the case, then why wasn't that simply stated in a response to put the matter at rest? Not responding at all really caused me great concern as to the motives involved. With all this in mind, along with other things that have been going on, I really think the board needs to examine this whole picture and determine whether we are truly prepared for the future. I strongly recommend that the 2007 laws be rescinded, especially in light of the home rule being firmly established by the recent court decision. Consult with a professional municipal attorney or planner as a guide to finalize a comprehensive plan and adopt laws that are compatible with it. That's what the state and the county prescribe. Again, I strongly urge the board consider this course. Thank you. Anybody feel like they have any explanations right now, or? Nobody?
Well, yeah, I'll say something to
Okay.
this. When the new zoning laws went into effect, first of all, I did fail to file the 239 review, and I didn't file an environmental impact.
But the seeker, what we made an issue in our minutes, and it was documented, that we had decided that there was, the impact would be at the time of drilling.
Okay, so
Not-
that's
so,
why.
So
all right.
that's documented, and that was,
I was on the planning board
Right.
at that time.
Right.
And so those two things, if the town board did one, I certainly did neither one.
Right.
This went to the state, to the office of town, the Association of Towns, and had their approval. This went to our attorney and had their approval. After it was adopted by the town, now the state comes back and tells us that we don't have local rule. That was before our present governor came out with his statement. And so now they came back, and I happened to be a little upset at the time, saying that the laws that we just passed, that had the state approval, that had our attorney approval, now both of those organizations said we don't have authority over these wells.
Right, preempted, I understand that.
Okay, so why weren't there some of these paperwork? Because we were told by the Association of Towns and our
an
attorney
attorney at the time.
that, at the time, that we had no control over it.
Okay,
So,
let me explain what I've discovered. First of all, the seeker, you can't just sit at a meeting and say, I don't think that's gonna impact. You have to take a hard look, and you have to document that hard look. You have to have stuff that you wrote down saying why you feel there's no impact. Also,
okay, we've gone well over the.
well, no, you said something, now, you talked
No,
about,
no, you've gone well over your 3 minutes. You asked for a response. I gave you the response as best as I
No, sir.
recall it at that point in time.
the well was drilled prior to you finding out from the lawyer, Monaco, who, by the way, he certified those laws incorrectly and sent it to the state. The Department of State is simply a filing cabinet. I've been in constant touch with them. They use a legal attorney, the town used a legal attorney.
Okay, that's enough. End
No,
of discussion.
no.
At this point in time.
You-
No, we need to-
the well was
we
drilled.
need to get your escorted out of here.
Excuse me,
because this is
Lawrence,
it.
let me finish to reply to him. He replied, let me respond.
You got about 30 seconds, unless
Okay,
it's over with.
you said that the state notified you and the attorney notified you. He notified you in August. The well was drilled in June, 2 months before that. You didn't know the state preempted. The well was drilled 2 months before you were aware that the state preempted. It's in the meeting minutes. So you had 2 months, and there was 2 different notifications. In October, Lawrence received a notification from the DEC that states, which you'll say in that document I gave you, that the laws aren't preempted. Your local laws still have to be followed, and it wasn't.
Thank you.
All right, you read that, Jerry, and then maybe respond again. I'd appreciate it. I'm not trying to be argumentative, but I'm just trying to find
Okay.
out the bottom of it. All right, thank you.
Jennifer Cole is asking time.
Hi. Alright, I've copied a personal letter from me, as well as a copy of 2 pages from a permit that was filed with the DEC by Norris Energy, just as references. Can you pass this down? Thank you very much. I'm a little nervous, so please excuse my shakiness. I moved to Oxford in late 2010 with my wife Amanda, whose family lived here for years. We decided to move back here for a number of reasons, but the major reason was because I have post-traumatic stress disorder from serving in Baghdad, Iraq. PTSD has made it very difficult for me to live in cities, where there are lots of loud noises. I can't fully express how frightening a flashback is, but it's like being taken back to a war I was in 10 years ago. Since moving to Oxford, I have only had to deal with a few trucks flying down 27 over the bridge near my house. This often makes a loud noise that sounds like distant mortar fire. So my concern about unconventional shell drilling, aside from some environmental concerns, is the amount of truck traffic that will be accompanying the drilling. According to a permit filed with the DEC by Norris Energy for a well in Coventry, and that's on the second page, I'll give this information. Each well, of which there are 2, a total of 4,800,000 gallons of water will be used to service this well. That means that if they use an average tanker truck, which holds 8,000 gallons of water, it'll take approximately 600 one-way water tanker trips, 1,200 trips in total. This estimate does not even include the loads used for sand, other additives, building materials, nor the number of trucks used for shipping out the flow back. And according to the truck route included in the permit on the final page, this traffic will be running down County Road 27, right by my house, every day until the well is done. Then we will have the added traffic that will come with the building of pipelines and compressor stations to transport the natural gas. I don't want Oxford to become a place I can't live in. I love Oxford, and I have found my new home that I am very comfortable in. I truly enjoy the peace of Oxford and the surrounding communities, and I don't want to see that peace destroyed by hydraulic fracturing. I don't want my PTSD to get worse. I also don't want to leave Oxford, my home. But if I don't feel safe, I can't stay. Thank you.
Thank you. Ellen?
I actually wanted to speak to you as a mother and as a grandmother. There's been so much tension between the residents in the town and members of this board. For me, my issues with you are not personal ones. We are all people of character. I think we all are. It's our visions for the future that are in conflict. My concern is for future generations, especially our children and grandchildren. I am concerned about what our generation has done to their future. Climate change has become an enormous issue to the health and welfare of the entire world, not just Oxford, Chenango County, New York State, or the United States. It is a fact that there is a huge shortage of clean water all over the world. I recently read an article that China has gas beneath their feet as well, but they don't have the fresh water required to extract it, so they are looking to export it from us. One of New York State's greatest assets is our clean water. It should not be sacrificed for the financial gain of the gas industry in the United States and China. We are suffering from severe droughts, floods, hurricanes, and tornadoes. Our food supply is greatly affected by these extremes of weather. We should not be contributing to the destruction of the environment. Hydrofracturing is a new technology, and the data is finally coming in from the areas that have been the guinea pigs for this process of extracting natural gas. Our generation has left future generations with huge global debt and an environmental damage. People have developed serious health issues who live in the fracking areas. The animals have suffered, many of which are part of our food chain, and the negative data is growing. The damage to our air and water is irreversible. That is the greatest consequence to this new process of extracting natural gas. The damage and losses are permanent. Our president and our politicians have not given us an affordable energy alternative to the oil, coal, gas, or wood. We need government to lead us in a direction of safe, renewable sources of energy. And that governmental responsibility starts with small town boards made up of people just like you. The only thing that stands between the public welfare and the destructive industrialization of Oxford is this town board. You can exercise your right to home rule to keep this polluting industry out of our town. The cases of Dryden and Middlefield have been upheld. You are the focus of our attention solely because you are our only hope. And we ask that you represent the concerns of the majority of the town people who do not welcome the industrialization of Oxford. Thank you. And can you put this in the minutes?
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in time?
Got some information here. So I only copied 5 of these, but these are from the Manhattan Institute, and it's about growth and prosperity report, economic effects of hydraulic fracturing on local economies. A comparison to New York and Pennsylvania, where we would be today if we started economic development. So that's for anybody to read there. We can download and look at it. A few things, if you don't mind, I'd like to mention. I'm constantly hearing about 1,000 people, over 1,000 people here in Oxford that are for a moratorium. Oxford population is 4,000. Every door in Oxford has been knocked on now. So that tells me that 3,000 people are not for a moratorium at this time. Okay. Another point I want to bring up. First, I'd like to thank the lady here for your service to our country. Unfortunately, if Oxford says we don't want drilling and another town around us decides, you're going to get that traffic either way because you're going to come down the road. So you're going to have to fight all the towns on this. That's good. Okay, just want you to know it's a big battle. All right. One other thing I'd like to bring to attention just recently, in Pennsylvania, in Franklin Forks, the Manning family. I know some of the folks, the Oxford board, and Mina went there. I think Irving, you went there to the Manning family to see the destruction that they had of the well water. This recently was found by the EPA that that water is safe to drink. Okay? Here's what happens in PA. I wrote an article in the paper here recently about the differences between PA's drilling of water wells and New York's drilling of water wells. Totally different set of rules. PA has none. New York does. Okay? Another significant part about PA is called Act 13. When an industry or a company drills a well, they're responsible for all the houses in any well within 2,300 feet of that well that they're drilling. And upon completion, which is hydraulic fracturing, that's completion of the well, it's 12 months from that time that if there's any complaint. So if somebody calls in a complaint and says, my well water is contaminated, what the company has to do is provide them with a water buffalo. And what people are finding in PA, because there was no baseline testing, because there's no rules for well, that a lot of their water has already been polluted. But they're just finding this out because they're doing their tests on it. So what happens is the gas company has to put a buffalo, and it's a PA, it's called Act 13. They have to put a buffalo, a water buffalo, it's a holding tank, in front of their house. Manning family happened to have that, and was used as a tool to bring a lot of fear to a lot of people. And the sad part of that is the company does this because it's the right thing to do. But see, in the justice system in America, you're innocent until proven guilty. In this case, they were guilty, the industry, until proven innocent, which they recently were. But you don't hear about that. It's covered for a couple days. Okay, so a lot of the stuff that has influenced a lot of people here, okay, has come from the Franklin Springs, the Brownwater and Dimmock. okay? When every one of those have turned out at this time to not be the issue that it's said to be. So again, you know, verifying facts from people is very important, and verify what I've told you here today, okay? Those are things that we need to take in consideration. And that's about it. Thanks.
Anyone else? Opposed?
Welcome to another month of fun, guys. So, just sitting here, I just had a thought as it was going on that how nice it would have been to have some of the critics of your actions actually to have been in attendance back when you were doing all this, to have monitored it to their satisfaction. It's easy to go back multiple years after things have been done, then come back and look and say it was or wasn't done properly. If people cared enough to be here as they are now, if they had been in the past, maybe it wouldn't be quite so easy to be so critical of you guys having maybe missed something or thinking you didn't have to do it. And I totally understand how things can get looked at that point in time. I can think you don't need to do something and you don't do it, and not wasting your time doing something that you think is fruitless. There's no point in it. So just want you to know that do understand, and it'd be nice to have people follow things all along at your meetings, that this would never come up. So that's all. Thank you.
Here's a press release. This is something they did 2 weeks ago. You can have the
Anyone
first
else
copy of
like to
it.
address the board? All right, thank you. Mr. Moore?
Yep.
You have some issues for the...
How many issues? No issues whatsoever. Just want to give you some information with regards to the pool,
Yeah.
just to give you updates.
Good.
I got standard now, it's right next to you.
Right in here, all right.
Been up to the pool a couple times, actually my son's been up there working, tearing down the door downstairs in the pump room, which was a little bit of a danger hazard. Moving some trees and vegetation down below, and putting up some shelves in the pump house for some of the pumps that we have. I don't know what we should do about the stuff we're gonna have left over. I don't know if I should talk with Tim, or if I should talk with the Tefs and see if we can first, or how you want me to go about doing that. I had a chance to talk to
What are
him.
you gonna do? Just like-
It's just the wood from that wood door that was just all discombobulated. It's all stacked in a big pile and everything else. I just don't know how we wanna get rid of it, so I can talk with Tefs. They usually take care of our
Yeah, why
trash.
don't we have, just have them add it.
Okay. Alright, just a couple quick things. We walked around the pool. Only thing I can see right now as significant has to be taken care of. The steps going into the pool have been really beat up over the winter. We leave water in the pool. Last year we were having a little problems with the upper step. This year I went in and the tiles were all busted up, the concrete, the water got in and cracked it, so that's gonna be an expense. We'll need some new signage. Some safety equipment downstairs got ruined. Where the ladders go in to the concrete, those bolts, that's gonna have to be looked at and just tightened up, okay? And the door to the guardhouse is gonna need to be repaired. That's just completely rotten out. Called John Tracy, he's all set up for next week. He'll be going in and taking care of the hookups and everything. Rick Payton is on schedule for next week, turning the water on for us. And B&D knows that we want to be open on June 17th, so they put into their plans that they'll be, he said, no problems. Of course, that's just hopefully nothing goes wrong between now and then. We have already set up, I've contacted the primary school. We've got about 350 kids that are planning on and scheduled for that last week of school. Primary schools are going to allow their kids to go this year. Sorry about that.
Change that song.
Sorry, pick up a cheeseburger. We have 5 new guards. They're taking the lifeguarding course right now. We were able to get that we're going through the YMCA. The YMCA, we were able to get that at $77 a student as opposed to $350. So it's a real cost savings going through them. And I have 6 returning guards that are being recertified on June 9th for $65. So the total bill would be around $775 as opposed to $2,400. So it was a big savings there. Choose to go through the YMCA just for convenience. They're certified, and I just think it's going to be a good move for us to go through them from now on. We'll be closed on July 4th. And we're also closed on graduation day, which I believe is June 22nd, might be 21st, 22nd, I'm not sure, I didn't have a calendar. Other than that, I've got the regular stuff, we gotta get chair stains and a couple things like that, but we're already started, so.
Good. Any
I don't know
questions
if you
for
have any
that?
questions? These are your notes?
Just how.
Yep, no problem.
I've got here.
Yep.
I'll put them back in here.
I can tear those right out for you. I need that book because I got other stuff in there, that's all. So I'll tear it out for you.
I can check it again before I wrote it down.
Okay.
You talk faster than I can read.
Right.
I have a short hand, but not like that.
I'll just,
Okay, is Mike Platter gonna be back?
I have no idea. I've
You haven't-
tried to contact Mike a couple times, he hasn't gotten back to me. So, when he gets back in touch with me, I can let you know more, but I've left a few messages and.
Do you have a backup plan for a replacement for him if he's not available?
We're all ready to go.
You're all set.
Yep, I have an adult that will be in charge Monday through Friday.
Good.
I have 2 senior guards that'll be rotating on the weekends. My son will also be, he was in charge of some lessons last year, so he'll be able to fill in occasionally. So we're covered with senior guards as far as that.
I know Mike has been a real asset.
Yeah, he did a real nice job, yep, I don't know what his plans are, I haven't been able to get in touch with him, so.
Okay, swimming lessons gonna be extended like it was last year?
So far, I think it works out well, it's 6 weeks, that way, we get a lot more use out of the pool. And I'd like to keep it that way. We've increased our smaller classes, and, because we just have more kids. So this way, we're allowing it to get to the younger kids, because as they get older, they stop using the swimming lesson, so. We'll have that, that schedule out, and we'll have the same, we'll put it in the announcements on the school, and let them know that when we're out sign-ups, we'll do 2 nights
Good,
in June, so.
very good. Any questions for Pat?
Just what I like.
All right, okay, thank you.
Yep. Good night, Mr. Locke. Where is it?
High school.
Where should he meet?
High school guys.
High school guys. All right, yep.
Yeah, about 1 o'clock would be
How's
good.
quarter 1?
That's good.
Okay.
Few communications, we got the access file organization from back in New York. The utilities have finalized their special franchise value for every year they argue with our assessments, and New York State has finally settled with them. They always gain a little bit, but not too much. Okay, and we have a well reporting notice from Norris Energy, as they are required to do annually, and we're going to put gas production in any of the wells in our town, and page 10 shows an absolute 0 across the board because there's nothing pumping. So.
Busy?
Let's see. 2 more. The New York State New York State Municipal Insurance Reciprocal that furnishes our liability and casualty insurance is having an annual meeting in the 3rd week of May, and I am intending to go to that to represent us. So, yeah, that. Yeah. Let's see, you all got the email from the mayor. I gave you all copies of it concerning his building plan. And I think that we, at some point, need to sit down with, and maybe we can touch on that a little bit and set up some kind of meeting we requested a joint meeting of the planning boards and the village and town board on the 21st of May, we got that last month, which is 2 weeks from tomorrow, 2 weeks from last night, I'm sorry, at 7:30. Just because of the size of the group, Terry's going to probably move that meeting to either the firehouse or the library, because there'll be 20-some board members potentially, and just figuring that this wouldn't be too big, but he's gonna let us know, so we'll get that information out to you. But I think just review that building thing so that maybe we can talk about that very briefly and set up something.
At the Visions meeting?
Yeah, just to, I think it'll be a good chance to get the people that are involved. Okay. Tim, what's going on with your department?
Well, we've been out patching potholes. I think we've covered the whole town once and started again. We're still hauling stone. Been grade hauling, but we have a problem with the motor on the grade hauling bottom. I had that truck to Wynn's garage today to see what happened and see if they find any oil from there. We rented a brush mower. It showed up today for a month. $6,200. Tree crew's coming on the week of the 21st. We got a list of trees we need to take down.
Very many.
Quite a few. Especially around wires and whatnot that are not safe for us to do. We're still hauling stone. I've met with both oil companies and taking cores on a couple of those, so we'll see what their recommendations are and put a list together and see what we can do.
And hopefully they'll be able to get those before you go on vacation.
I'm shooting for having most of it done by the end of June.
Do you have a tentative schedule of what roads would?
Not completed yet. It'll be a couple of weeks before they get back with the results of the core samples on what they want to do and cost estimates. Then I'll put the list together.
What was the electrical work done today?
All the outside pole lights quit working. We determined there was a broken wire across the parking lot. So we had to dig all the way across the parking lot, put in new conduit, new wire.
That was good digging.
I bet I wasn't digging.
Kurt, rough ride.
Yeah,
What?
hit a lot of water. Yeah, I had both grade all buckets. The cutting edges were warped and,
So it's two different.
yeah.
Okay. Let's see, last month we talked about the possibility of taking the responsibility of the zoning board of appeals on the gas permitting away from them and doing that ourselves. I talked with the county and also with the Department of State, and that is not allowed by state law. It's very explicit to say that the zoning board of appeals will not be, members of the zoning board of appeals will not be town board members, so I guess that answers that question. What else do we need to do here? Yes, that's about the time of my part. I have an issue that we have to go into executive session for, but we'll wait till things are done.
Did they in fact find a break in that wire under the parking lot?
Time we dug through it, and it was hard to tell.
They had many breaks?
They checked it at both ends and
Oh, okay.
determined that the problem was in the middle.
Right 2 feet in.
And we couldn't pull the wire out of the conduit, so you know,
Conduit had been collapsed.
apparently.
Well, the positive thing is we had to spend a lot of money paving the parking lot.
Yeah.
I would like
We
to
talked
get-
about that a year ago.
But I've got enough millings now that we might be able to,
Okay,
So,
that's what I was gonna ask you.
about 2,000 tons
Okay, from 2,000 out, or
so far, and we've
Still
always
more
worked
coming.
for 2 years, you know.
did you thought to use that and plug that up to use for
If I have enough,
recycling roads
they may need to add some material to the 2 roads we want
to grind?
to grind, and if we have enough left, we'll pay what we can there.
Have you heard anything from, who was it, Westlaw, that did New Virginia last year?
Yes.
As far as, did they say anything about the way that, didn't he hear that?
They had no rhyme or reason why that one stretch didn't stick. They've done it again,
Right,
so.
but is it satisfactory now what they have with the overwork?
The plows are pretty aggressive on it, with the carbide blades.
This next one can shorten the cable on the wing plow. We're putting an awful lot of road on the lawns.
We're doing a lot better than a lot of them.
My God, it's terrible. You go down Cheese Factory Road,
It's soft on your side.
man, I got it all back in the ditch. But that was a mess. Can't they control that?
Usually we do it with a small truck, but being a man short, big truck, we got it up there.
Is it this, I'm not complaining from my house. It's super job.
I would like to pursue replacing that 550, move forward with that.
Have you, gotten any?
Supposed to get the truck to look at by the end of this month. It says it's ours, it's blue and it's four-wheel drive, we'll see how it looks.
What, once they start, are they gonna be something?
You can see the sparks flying.
This will be completed, delivered, go out cab and chassis. And we get things here by the end of the month, so.
I'm gonna do that too.
And then I decided, what I don't want to.
Yeah. Any ideas on prices?
The price we gave on cab and chassis was $159.
How much you got for equipment?
Not if you go regular on vacuum sander. Of course, the price on our 550 keeps getting lower and lower.
Yeah. Let's see, last month we agreed to put that,
You know, the
we
one-
want out to separate. And
we
it's a
declared
clear-
it surplus, and we've been putting the information together.
Declare surplus and advertise for sale. So it is, it's taken care of, yeah.
You just haven't gotten around to getting it.
Hasn't been put out.
I'll have it. It's not full.
No.
Yes, just anywhere on the. Anywhere on? Yep.
Okay.
settled, we paid them their retroactive, because it was effective.
So would that be like 9?
It's, I called it 8A. I call it
8A? Or is it like that?
See,
It
it's,
should say 8A
Right,
here then,
yeah.
right? Okay, I'll fix it.
okay, I just have to catch that.
I'm glad you said that.
Yes, sir.
Any news on Videographer?
Haven't heard a word. They are, I know they've been up there and been dealing with it, but I don't know what their outcome has
See
been.
Foxy, but
Okay, we have a motion, we have some bills to pay, anybody?
no motion.
Okay, we got a motion and a second.
What?
Yep.
Any discussion? None, all those in favor?
Right.
Okay, I have a matter of litigation that we need to go into executive session for. Is there anything else that we need to deal with before we do that? Anybody has it? Okay. I would entertain a motion for executive session for discussion of litigation.
So moved.
We got a motion and a second, all those in favor? Opposed? Okay, carried. Okay, we need to go into executive session, so I thank you for your participation.
Institute the meeting after the executive session, or is the
I didn't hear anybody have any reason to do anything, and there will be no action on it, but it's just information for the board.